Starting with Part A, heat changes when substances are mixed with water. We will measure the temperature changes that are associated with the dissolving of ammonium nitrate in water. Our first step is to get the mass of the calorimeter that we will use to conduct this experiment. Please pause the video and record the mass of the calorimeter on your report sheet. Next, we will measure 50 milliliters of deionized water and get the mass of the water and the calorimeter together. Please pause the video and record the mass of your calorimeter and the water. Then we will weigh out approximately 3 grams of ammonium nitrate. Please pause the video and record the mass of the ammonium nitrate. We will then measure the temperature of the water before adding the ammonium nitrate. Please pause the video and record the initial temperature of the water before the ammonium nitrate is added. Next, we will add in our ammonium nitrate into our water and I'll give it a slight stir. And then we will record the temperature changes that is associated with this chemical process. You will record the temperature readings every 10 seconds until the temperature remains constant. This information will be used to plot a graph of temperature versus time, similar to the one on page 154 of your lab manual. Once the reaction is completed, we will now record the mass of our solution in the calorimeter cup. Please pause the video and record the mass of the solution in the calorimeter cup. Next, we will conduct part A2, sulfuric acid in water. Again, starting with the mass of our calorimeter, please pause the video and record the mass of your calorimeter. For this experiment, we will use 18 molar sulfuric acid and water. Next, we will measure our 50 milliliters of deionized water. And again, we will record the mass of the water and the calorimeter. Please pause the video and record the mass of the water and the calorimeter. Next, we'll measure out 5 milliliters of the sulfuric acid, and we will record the mass of the sulfuric acid. Please pause the video and record the mass of the sulfuric acid. Next, we will measure the initial temperature of the water before we add the sulfuric acid. And please pause the video and record the initial temperature of the water. Then we will add the 5 milliliters of the sulfuric acid to the water and record the temperature changes that are associated with this process. Again, you will record the temperature readings for every 10 seconds until the temperature remains constant. Once the reaction is complete, you will record the final temperature and the mass of the solution. Please pause the video and record the mass of the solution and the final temperature on your report sheet. Next, we will do Part B, an acid-base reaction. For Part 1 of the procedure, we will use ammonium hydroxide and acetic acid to conduct the neutralization reaction. Again, starting with the mass of our calorimeter, please pause the video and record the mass of the calorimeter that is being used in this experiment. Using a graduated cylinder, we will measure out 51 milliliters of the acetic acid. We will also record the temperature of this solution. In a separate graduated cylinder, we will measure out 50 milliliters of the ammonium hydroxide. And we will record the temperature of this solution as well. Next, we will pour the base and the acid into the calorimeter and record the initial temperature of the mixture. You are to use the temperature of the acid as your initial temperature. While stirring the mixture, you will record the temperature readings every 10 seconds until the temperature remains constant. Once the reaction is completed, you will record the final temperature, the time, and the mass of the solution. Please pause the video and record this data on your report sheet. Next, we will do part 2 of the acids and bases reaction. For this experiment, we will use sodium bicarbonate and citric acid and water to conduct the reaction. Again, starting with the mass of our calorimeter, please pause the video and record the mass of the calorimeter that is being used in this part of the reaction. Next, we'll measure out approximately 5 grams of the citric acid. Please pause the video and record the mass of the citric acid. Then, we will measure out approximately 6 grams of the sodium bicarbonate. Pause the video and record the mass of the sodium bicarbonate. Using a graduated cylinder, we will measure 40 milliliters of deionized water. We will add the water to the calorimeter cup. We will record the initial temperature of the water. Please pause the video and record the initial temperature of the water. Next, we will add both of the solids into the 40 milliliters of water in the calorimeter and record the temperature change. Again, you will be taking the temperature readings every 10 seconds until the temperature remains constant. Once the reaction is completed, you will record the final temperature of the mixture, and then you will record the mass of the mixture in the calorimeter. Please pause the video to record this information. Now you have all the data that you need to do the calculations to complete this lab.